So welcome to this week's video. You may have noticed it's rather wet and very windy. I think it's the first named storm of this sort of autumn winter. Amy, I believe they've called it, but yeah, it was pretty wet coming out from the car, and I've sort of come across a couple of heaps. Saw one stag pretty early on. Didn't appear to have any hinds, but went initially to where I was filming last week, and it looks as if the same stag is there with slightly more hinds, which is quite nice. So I took a little bit of video of that. These majestic animals are what scientists call short day breeders, which means they're ready to mate as the days start to get shorter in the autumn. There must be several hinds ready to mate here, as you can see him constantly using his highly sensitive sense of smell to detect these chemical signals, often sniffing the hind's urine and genital area. Their reproductive cycle lasts between 17 and 22 days, but what's particularly interesting is the fact that the period of estrus, when she's actually receptive to mating, lasts just 1 or 2 days. So there's only a brief window of opportunity for the stags to mate. The stags often mount the hinds several times before a successful mating occurs. All of these factors come together to create a dynamic and competitive breeding season, which plays a vital role in the life cycle of the red deer. In between mating, this stag has to guard his harem closely, constantly patrolling the perimeter to prevent others from approaching. This stag will most likely lose a significant amount of weight and condition by the end of the rutting season. Close by were another small group of stags slowly drifting towards yet another stag roaring off in the distance. Don't know if you're going to pick up on that, but there's one here with quite a few hinds, probably 15, 20. It could be the ready roaring stag we had last week, but I'm not overly sure. But it looks very similar. You can see he has vegetation on his antler. A consequence of vigorously thrashing the heath, uprooting a plant and getting them tangled on its antlers. Hoping it'll appear larger and more intimidating to those approaching rival stags, a non-violent way to show off before actual fighting occurs, potentially reducing the need for a dangerous physical combat. I must admit to be impressed by the speed in which he travels across the heath. For this morning, at least, he's defended his harem, checking if any are ready to mate before a well-deserved rest. I'm uncertain whether this weather's going to get any better. Like I say, it's shaking the camera a bit and it's not the clearest of images, but I always thought that coming down with a little bit of rain, I don't know, it just seems to spruce them up. So yeah, it's going to keep going until I get completely soaked. So let's see what comes. Just stopped for a bit of coffee. It's almost midday. Looks as if we've just got a very subtle break in the weather. That rain has just eased off a little bit. It's been pretty relentless really for the last couple of hours. This stag with the hinds, like I say, had settled down, so I thought I'd have a little wander around to see if I could find anything else. So we've got this stag here with some hinds, we've got the stag in the trees with some hinds, so I just thought I'd have a look, see if I could see anything else. Came across a singular stag, quite a mature stag. He was working through the end of a heath, so sort of followed him through the end of that into a meadow, and it gave me the impression that he was coming this way. Looking at this stag, on reflection, I'm pretty certain he was amongst those on the heath earlier in the day. Certainly an impressive stag with a fine pair of antlers. I can't imagine he will be without accompanying hinds for much longer. He seemed to be working his way back towards those two roaring stags off in the distance. But he seemed to sort of come between the two. So I thought I'd come here just to see whether he'd circle round to this heath, but nothing, so he may have just gone further on. I may have a look up amongst the trees to see whether he circled back there, but it gave me the impression he was coming this way. But like I say, just got a little bit of a break in the weather, finish this coffee and then have a little hunt round whilst they're resting. After an unsuccessful for hours walking, I bumped into what was turning out to be my constant companion this rut. The hinds are leading him on a merry circuit of the heath in search of food. Entering this small wood, probably to feed on the abundant acorns this year. For me, a chance to escape the wind and the rain, sit quietly on a grassy path, catching that odd glimpse between the trees. I was hoping for a bit of side-by-side walking this rut, but didn't envisage it between a red deer and a horse. A slight mismatch, I think. Either a very brave horse or a delusional one. A quick tap on the head to send it on its way. And another, for good measure. The hinds were on the move again, back out to the heath. More wind, more rain. A handsome profile. Certainly makes all the effort so worth it. Spending just a few hours today with him really has brought home to me just how much effort they're putting in. I mean, I can comfort myself with the knowledge of a warm bath and a fresh dry clothes when at home. But this routine of feeding, herding, guarding, inevitable fights, and his reward? Successful mating, passing on his genes. This would be his lot for the rest of the season. He certainly deserves another rest. Well, that's the last of the coffee. Lovely to see that stag meeting him again at the end of that heath going into the woods. I just love the aesthetic of filming them in the woods, which was really, really lovely. Once it sat down, decided to then move off just to see whether there was any more action in amongst the trees, but nothing better than I'd already caught. But with the weather really starting to set in, I thought, right, let's work my way slowly back to the car to see if I can capture anything else, anything different. And on the last heath, believe me, it's the same stag again from this morning. I must be sort of following it round, which was really eerie. I've observed this behaviour before. I think it's scent marking from these glands that are on their face and forehead. sort of sat down and thought to try and get a little bit more footage, although it's, I say, we're losing the light and whatever. But unfortunately, the day's been drawn to an early close because, unlike me, I forgot my memory cards, spare memory cards. So literally filled up the cards and the camera. So it's not the weather that's beaten me today. It's the fact that my memory is not as good, leaving the cards at home. But I think overall it's been a really good day. I think the decision for Denise not to join me, she was going to join me today. She had booked a holiday, and I said, look, I don't think it's going to be great. The weather's not going to be ideal. You know, if you're booking a holiday which is valuable, then let's put it back and see if we can maybe next Friday, the Friday after, try and find some weather or get some weather that's a little bit brighter. You know, a nice dawn. So. Like I said, I think I was justified there. I'm a bit mad. I quite like coming out in the rain, but it looks as if I've got quite a bit of drying out to do. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a big thumbs up, like and subscribe. And like I say, hopefully you'll sort of join me on a much drier video next time.